if you lined up all these missing people and unsolved homicides, all of them would converge onto Garth Brooks. The amount of missing people in Nashville triples while he's in town. I have no doubt that many of these victims could have willingly gone with Garth because of his fame. Listen, I'll be shocked if Trish makes it out alive. He's a monster.
Today's guest is Matt Cox. Many of you know Matt already as the host of the Inside True Crime podcast. But recently, Matt also published a book doing a deep dive into the Garth Brooks serial killer conspiracy. In case you're unaware, there's a growing conspiracy theory online that country music legend Garth Brooks is a serial killer. In fact, his location can physically be linked to hundreds of unsolved homicides and disappearances that go back to the 1980s. What began as a joke on a podcast quickly became a viral sensation all over the internet, so much so that Matt decided to do some digging. Through painstaking research, Matt traces Garth's exact location to the same area as each of these unsolved homicides and disappearances, beginning from when Garth was in college up until as recently as his 2024 nationwide tour. Matt also interviewed FBI serial killer experts, families of the victims, as well as people who worked closely with Garth for years. What he concluded was that the probability of Garth Brooks being the serial killer responsible for all of these crimes is extremely high. There are just too many coincidences. All of this is detailed in Matt's new book, Bodies in Low Places, available now on Amazon, where it's quickly becoming a bestseller. You gotta go read this thing. It's a quick read, and it's absolutely chilling to think how a serial killer like Garth Brooks could get away with these crimes for so long. All right, you guys, get ready to have your mind blown. Bodies in Low Places by our man, Matthew Cox, right here on The Connect with Johnny Mitchell.
What the Right. Doing God's work.
What the? You've written a book alleging, with strong circumstantial evidence, that Garth Brooks, the most popular country music singer in history, he's actually the number one selling artist, I believe, in the world. Like, I think he might even be up there with Michael Jackson.
I've heard different statistics, yes.
Hundreds of millions of albums sold.
Yeah, 170 million.
Yeah. So
170 million and 120 missing people and roughly 80 unsolved homicides in his wake.
Yeah. Now, did you started writing this book? You wrote it with your boy Pierre, who you were locked up with.
Yes.
Did you start writing this before Tom Segura and Your Mom's House, the comedy podcast, started breaking this conspiracy?
No, I learned about it from Tom Segura. I saw an episode. I thought it was hilarious. I then started consuming all of Segura's stuff. And then I contacted Pierre in prison and told him, we have to write a book about this. And we've written several books, several true crime books while we were both incarcerated, and even worked on several while once I got out. You know, we would still correspond through the CoreLink system, federal email system. And so I talked to him about it. We started gathering up evidence. He started compiling the evidence and really getting into it. And really, initially, when I'm on the phone with him explaining this whole thing to him, and his first response was, "Come on, man, what are you doing? What are you doing?"
Yeah, I got to get out of here.
I have better stuff to do.
I got a life to live. I'm trying to win my appeal. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
He's trying to get out of prison. And I'm saying, no, you listen, you don't understand. This is super interesting. And so then he starts looking at the data and he starts going, statistically, there's a lot of these. Yeah. Like we start getting I actually hired two researchers to pull all the data. Listen, he's got this. He doesn't have like a few hundred tour dates. He's got thousands of tour dates. Garth's been touring almost, with the exception of about 10 years, nonstop for roughly 30 years.
Yeah, since 1990.
Yeah,
35 years.
No. Yeah, in the I was gonna say in the 80s. In the 80s too, he was touring because he was doing the fairground tours. I believe it was in the 80s or 90s. It was the 80s or 90s.
So if you were going to pull up like a heat map, you know how like law enforcement pulls up maps of all these homicides, right? In whatever section, whatever district, right. There'd be a lot of red around where Garth Brooks has lived and around where Garth Brooks has stopped to perform concerts.
Yeah, if you lined up all these missing people and unsolved homicides, and you had string wrapped around the pins, like a crazy person, all of them would converge onto Garth Brooks.
Right. And all of these bodies, whether they're disappeared people or actually victims that they found in the woods or on the side of the road,
right, all
of these are unsolved.
Yeah, over 120 of them are unsolved. I'm sorry, you're saying the homicides. Yes, there's roughly 80, like 81, 82 unsolved homicides and over 120 missing persons. Right. Yes, sorry.
So it's just important to point that out. Like, nobody else has been placed with these bodies. No. It's not like they've made a caller. They've made arrests on any of these.
No, and keep in mind that when we did the research, there were actually more than just what we came up with. There was significantly more. But when you get them and you start looking through the paperwork that you can get from law enforcement and you can get online, we would see that like the person was a gangbanger, right? Like he's a member of a gang, and the police believe that it was a drive-by shooting and whatever. Well, then we discard that.
Right.
It doesn't matter if that guy just went to a Garth Brooks concert and it happened in the parking lot. Right. It doesn't matter. The police believe that it's a drive-by shooting. He was a gang member, so no, let's say the person was the person this person was last seen with was, for instance, there's a description of him, and he's 6 foot tall, and he has dreadlocks. Okay, well that can't possibly be Garth. So we discarded lots and lots of. It's not like we picked anybody that went missing when Garth was at this arena. Right. No, that's not what happened at all. It might be 6 or 7. We're just discarding all of them, with the exception of the ones that they cross path with Garth.
Mm-hmm. And it's a lot of young people, like 21-year-old females, right, African American, black, white, all the way up to like homeless people in their 60s. And that's the sign of a serial killer, where there's no rhyme or reason to the victims. It's one of the reasons serial killers go uncaught for decades sometimes. Well, is they have no connection personally to the victims.
Correct. No connection, yes. But some serial killers do have a specific type. Like Ted Bundy had a specific type, right? But there's also a subsection. There's multiple different types of serial killers, obviously. And some of them are there's spree killers, there are opportunists, right? Mm-hmm. So these are people that the opportunity presents itself and he takes it. Mm-hmm. And it's not sexual in nature, because a lot of them they're kind of sexual deviants, and as a result they're going after certain types. None of these have a sexual component to them, which also in a way kind of connects them.
Right.
Because we're not saying these 15 had that they were they were assaulted, right? They weren't
or anything.
Yeah. Oh, I don't know if you beep them out or not. They weren't sexually assaulted, right? They were, obviously they were all assaulted. Mm-hmm. But these 15 people weren't sexually assaulted, so or were sexually assaulted. We're saying if there was a sexual assault, then that's not something that's also something we're kind of excluding, unless there was overwhelming evidence that connected them.
Also, as he goes on, as he gets more power, more fame, more money, more access, and more ability to get people to do whatever he wants. Basically, when he comes above reproach, right, as a celebrity, you see the bodies and the disappearances around him start to increase.
Yes.
And it's because serial killers are opportunistic, and they become, I think, what the FBI agent calls more organized.
Right.
Meaning, as they move on in life, some of them get married, just like Garth. They start to find what works for them when it comes to killing. So, and that tracks Garth.
Well, what really
Mr. Brooks.
Also what happens too is when he eventually does get this one we can get into this one piece of property and has money, then there are more and more people that go missing, as opposed to prior to that, where the bodies, you find them.
Right.
He has nowhere to put them.
No.
So, we could. I don't know if you want to talk about the what potentially could have. There's typically trauma in
Yeah, we'll get to that. We'll get to
okay,
that.
sorry. Go
So, yes, and when he gets a private plane,
Yeah.
when he gets, his own pilot and he has his own crew, you see bodies starting to disappear from other states.
Right.
And the theory is that he was folding these bodies up after he killed them into huge trunks or huge suitcases, giving it to his crew and say, hey, put that on the jet, and then flying them back to his property in Tennessee and burying them on his 300-acre estate, basically.
Right. I wouldn't even say huge. 120-pound woman fits in a suitcase.
Just like a regular suitcase.
Sure. Did you remember the guy that got that his girlfriend recently convinced him to climb in the suitcase and zipped it up and then just let him suffocate?
The TikTok.
That's a full-grown man.
Right, and he fit in like a regular-ass suitcase.
Absolutely. Yeah, not everybody's 6'6".
I know, I forget that, unfortunately.
So...
wow. Okay, so, and I want to point out in this book too, you guys...
I could fit in one of those igloo coolers.
Dude, you present well, but in real life, buddy, you are vertically challenged, my friend. You went and you legitimately do your homework. You interviewed retired FBI serial killer profilers.
Two criminologists.
That's right.
Two doctors.
Yeah.
Who specialize in this.
Yeah.
These are both accredited.
Yeah. You talk to an ex-roadie, a head of the roadie crew that sets up his concerts, Garth's, his whole gigantic productions. You talk to him. You talk to a former producer of his in Hollywood that just talks about his sociopathy and his... basically his incredible selfishness and narcissism, his willingness to...
The one that sued her, you're right. I know she sued him. She sued him.
Yeah. So so you did your homework. The book is great.
I was going to say that the producer...
Yeah.
The roles that he just turned down.
Oh, he was going to be in Saving Private Ryan.
I mean, it's insane. Some of the you've got Steven Spielberg saying, "I want to put you in one of my movies."
What can I do for you?
I'll play.
What can I do for you, Garth? Yeah.
Yeah. What do you want me to do? I'll be the butler.
Yeah.
Just to be in it. No, I want to be the lead role. Yeah. He's supposed to be in Twister.
Yeah, he wanted to be the tornado in Twister.
No. He said the tornado was going to, the lead role is the tornado. He's like, that I would be, the actors are secondary to the tornado. Like, you're an idiot.
So check it out, Steven. I want you to put my face on the tornado. Can we do that? So let's just go into it because it's a great book and it's a quick read. Most serial killers, all serial killers have trauma. They have it ingrained in them, probably genetically too, but there's trauma that takes place in their childhood, usually abuse, but definitely at least some trauma, and then that gets triggered by an environmental factor later on, and it leads them to start killing. Garth Brooks grew up in a house where we don't know if there was any, it doesn't appear, at least from the outside looking in, that he went through any kind of like Michael Jackson, Joe Jackson whoopings, sexual abuse, maybe, but we don't know. Right.
No, he's certainly not going to say that. But a lot of people think that trauma means, and I only know this from speaking with the psychiatrist, is that trauma doesn't necessarily mean that you were kept in a box for days on end, or you were chained up or beaten regularly, or it doesn't necessarily mean that. It could mean kind of like sort of like you mentioned, the Jackson 5, where they were forced to perform whether they wanted to or not. And if they didn't do it, they were going to be abused.
Yeah.
And it could be being betrayed. For instance, you've got Ted Bundy had trauma because he was raised by his grandparents. He thought they were his parents when, in fact, his sister was actually his mother. And this comes out when I think he's 12 or 13 years old, and it was traumatizing to him. He didn't know who to. I can't trust my parents. They've been lying to me forever. My sister is actually my mother, and as a result, he kind of sank into himself and withdrew into himself and became shy and awkward, and it manifested itself in very bizarre ways. Same thing with Dahmer. There was an issue with Dahmer, similar to that, where he's never beaten. He would say, "I love my dad," and they would say, like, "I loved my family. Yeah. We had a good family. I was never beaten. Nothing like that." But as a result of some sort of a mental trauma, it changed something in them, and they became dissociated from what you and I would consider a normal relationship,
Right.
and people, they just stopped caring about people in general. They withdraw into themselves. Those are the kinds of people that can get up and move and never talk to anybody again.
Right.
Never make a phone call.
And that's the disassociation that is attributed to serial killers.
Yes.
And Garth Brooks also had that with his alter ego, Chris Gaines.
Yes. What I was going to mention for Garth, what we know that his mother was a budding country music star.
Right.
We know that she had a career, and she got pregnant multiple times and eventually had to give up her career to raise her family. Now, Garth says it was always a wonderful, loving relation, or family, unit, but it seems bizarre to me because she's given up being a country music singer.
But she's bitter about it.
She's bitter about it because she's making every one of the children learn an instrument. Every week they have a talent contest. They have to get better. They have to perform. Well, what if I don't want to perform? Like, what if I want to play soccer instead?
Right.
So, but no, that's not an option. So, how did that end up manifesting itself in Garth? And a lot of the people that he went to school with, and they would always say the same thing. He was always very polite. He was always very nice, which is the same thing they said about Dahmer and Bundy. Yeah. He was a great neighbor. He's very quiet. Yeah. But they also would say he was odd. Yeah. He was an odd guy. He was very shy, and he just was a little bit off.
Yeah, it seems to be like it's not that these guys aren't nice or polite, but they're just not all there.
Right.
That disassociation with like the empathy and the connectedness that normal people have.
Right.
This person just doesn't have it. We all saw that guy in high school where you're like, that kid in the trench coat at the back of the class who doesn't bother anyone, he's going to come in and shoot us.
Yeah, it's the quiet. It's always the quiet. Right. It's the quiet. Don't f with the quiet kid in the corner.
Right. And clearly that's a weird childhood, right? Like, you have a mother who is a singer, and we all know how crazy singers are. People in the entertainment industry in general have psychopathic, they have serial killer qualities, but they don't have, I think what they don't have is the psychopathy part. They have the narcissistic part, and they have the Machiavellianism.
Yes.
Which is like this, I'll get ahead by any means. I don't care about other people. What I care about is myself. I need to be seen. This is clear from comedians, actors, singers. Garth's mother, like most women back then, had to give up career for, to shit out a couple of kids, right? That they don't really want.
Right.
And so, she's forcing her 4 kids to throw talent shows in the house.
Right.
It's mad weird.
Yeah. Yeah.
So that contributed probably also just with his genetics, right?
Listen.
It's brain chemistry at the end of the day. Like,
even if you say, hey, he's not a serial killer, if you've seen any of his social media, he's odd. He's an odd guy. There's nobody that watches these things that don't say, something's not right.
Yeah, that's not like one of us. That's not like a human like we know humans.
Yeah, he's very uncomfortable in his own skin.
Yeah.
And that's funny because that's the whole Segura thing. Mm-hmm. That's how they got on to Garth Brooks.
Right.
Is that they started watching. That's one of the things that Segura and his wife do is they'll go find people's social media, and they'll kind of joke about and mock those people. Not always, but for the most part they do. And then they read the comments and they laugh and they have a good time. They joke, but they somehow or another, about 5 or 6 years ago, they got on to Garth Brooks.
Right.
And they were just like, whoa, I had no idea.
Yeah. And then Segura, and then Christina, Tom's wife, goes, how many bodies do you think this guy has?
No.
Right? Or Tom
she said, what's wrong with him? He goes, what's wrong with him? He said, he's thinking about all the bodies he's got buried underneath his house or something. She's like, you think he's a killer? And he goes, oh, definitely. He's killed at least 200 or 300 people. He wasn't far off.
He wasn't far off at all.
And that's just what I can find.
You guys, I'm just getting over having a really bad fever. And probably the worst thing about last week, how sick I was, the worst part was not the horrible sore throat. It was not the splitting headache. It was not the chill sweats, the fever dreams, thinking that I might die alone. It was the fact that I couldn't pouch. I couldn't put pouches in. I mean, maybe I could have. Maybe I should have. Maybe I would have gotten healthier faster. You guys know when I pouch with Free only. It's the only brand that my body will accept. Every other brand, the leading brands that we all know about, starts with a Z, right? I take those, I'm done. I'm nauseous. I have to spit it out. Free has been a lifesaver. It's changed how I engage with tobacco. You get more per can or per pouch than the leading brands for the same price point, okay? 3 milligrams up to 15 milligrams. Guys, get your milligrams up. This is not for the faint of heart. This is for men. The holidays are coming up. This is like a gift for him. It's a stocking stuffer. It's a no-brainer. Every guy's pouching now, even beta male Democrats like me. And I put these Frees in, and guess what? I feel like an alpha. Free's got this moisture technology that it must be the reason that it helps me out so much. It gives me a head rush. It's supplanted coffee. I don't really have to drink coffee before these podcasts that I do anymore. I just put a Free in my lip, and then all of a sudden I've got this buzz that feels like caffeine. Whether you're working at a desk, whether you're working out in the fields, whether you're in prison on a chain gang, you can smuggle these things in. You can keister in a package of these. It's got authentic grit. Real experiences require real products. No BS, no fluff, just performance that you need. Because everybody knows those other brands are out. All I hear people talk about now is free. I push it. Push it to my friends, comedians that I see at comedy clubs. People who have been through real situations know the difference between products that work and products that don't. And Free doesn't sugarcoat anything. We tell you exactly what you're getting. The strongest, most effective pouches on the market. And once again, you get more for your money. It's got 33% more pouches per can or per package than the competition. What more do you need to know? And so many different yummy flavors. Wintergreen, original. I love mint. I love mint. Plus a host of other great ones. We've got an offer for you right now. Right now. Pause this episode. Go to freepouch.com. That's FREPOUCH.com. Free pouch. And use the code CONNECT, CONNECT, to get 20% off your first order. Have you done it? Once again, listeners get 20% off your first order at freepouch, FREPouch.com when you use code CONNECT at checkout. That's 20% off your first order with code CONNECT. Become a man. Put some hair on your chest. Go build something, right? That's what we do here. We build things, and we do it with a free pouch in our mouth. No, it's a lot of people. And so it got out. They sparked like this cultural phenomena.
Right.
The Your Mom's House, the podcast, this whole online conspiracy, this whole Reddit and subreddit groups. And it got out. It got back to Garth.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
It got back to Garth. And people went to his shows with signs that said, "Where are the bodies, Garth?"
Yeah.
Holding it up so he could see it. And instead of laughing it off or coming onto the podcast and being like, "You guys," or even if you have no sense of humor, you could at least put out an Instagram post saying, "You guys, this is like disrespectful to all of the victims of these people and their families, because these are unsolved homicides. It's insensitive. You shouldn't do this."
Right.
He does neither of those things.
No. What he does is, which is so funny because it really it would be a phone call.
Yeah.
He just ignores it. He ignores it. And the only time Segura tells a story on the podcast where he said he has a mutual friend he doesn't want to name. He had seen him one day and he knew he'd seen Garth. And he went up to him. Have you ever heard this?
Mm-mm.
He goes up to him and he says, "Hey, how's it going?" He goes, "What's up?" He said, "Did you see Garth the other day?" He said, "Mm-hmm." And he says, what did you talk about it? Does he know about it? He goes, "Oh, he knows. He knows." He goes, "What did he say?" He goes, "Does Garth hate me?" He goes, "Garth doesn't hate anybody," which is such a,
of course,
of course you're going to say
so
that.
Hollywood,
right?
Yeah.
He's like, he doesn't hate anybody. He goes, "Well, what did he say?" He said, "When I mentioned it to him, he said," and I said to him, "What do you think about this? Have you heard about this? What do you think about it?" He goes, "What do I think about it?" Garth pulled out his phone and went through his videos on his phone, and there's a video of Segura playing basketball like 10 years ago. He jumps up to try and dunk, and when he comes down, he falls and breaks his arm.
Right.
And he's rolling around screaming.
Yeah.
And Garth shows that video. He goes, "What do I think?" He goes, "Karma. That's what I think." And it was like, it's a disturbing.
Yeah.
That's a disturbing thing to say. Why not? Even Rogan, by the way, even Rogan said, because Segura brought this up on Rogan's podcast, and they talked about it. And of course, Segura's, he's doing it deadpan. He's he's trying to like, yeah, this and that, and of course, Rogan's not having any of it. He's not going to listen to any of it. He just kind of shakes his head. He shakes his head, and they get to a point where he looks at the camera, and Rogan says, Garth, listen, you can shut this whole thing down. Just go on the podcast. Yeah. He goes, go on the podcast. Christina and Tom are funny people. They're very nice people. Yeah. This is just a joke. He's playing. Yeah. He doesn't mean anything. And he says this whole thing because he would. If he came on the podcast, he could shut it down immediately and it'd be a joke. But even Rogan was saying, like, at least say something.
Because just a guy, if he was just a douchebag, just kind of an asshole,
right,
you would just say, hey, that guy. That's at least a genuine emotion. That's like a human emotion. Right. Garth has displayed neither of those things, not anger or levity or humor.
Yeah.
Creepy.
Now,
weird.
By the way, Rossini says he doesn't want to address it at all. He doesn't want to address it. He doesn't want to address it. He doesn't want to file suit. He doesn't want to do anything specifically because it opens him up to
more eyeballs.
To discovery. Yeah,
right.
Of course. It would be everywhere then. Suddenly Garth is suing. So it would be on the front page of every paper, and then it would open you up. Let's assume the court doesn't throw it out. They don't throw it out. They say, okay, we're going to move forward. We're going to go to, which I think it would be thrown out because it just couldn't go that far. But it would open him up to discovery, and suddenly they'd be able to read all your texts, all your emails, all your, like, what.
Get a search warrant for your property.
Yeah, what are you hiding? Like, what comes out at that point? So what do? You just hunker down and hope it goes away.
Which is the right move. You know, I mean, if we're trying to stir it back up here, but that's what you do when you really want to make something go away is just completely ignore it. Do you think it's possible that if it got national on podcasts, do you think that there is enough that the Tulsa police or the Nashville police or the feds could put together enough to get a warrant to go onto his property, his 300-acre property outside of Nashville?
What do you need? You need a couple of dogs. You need a couple of cadaver dogs to walk the property. It's 300 acres. That's a lot.
Right.
Maybe you need 4 or 5. Take you a few hours.
Right.
Who knows? What you find a couple spots you might want to do some. It's not like you have to dig it up. You could do those the ground sensors where they run that ground sensor over to see if the Earth's been disturbed.
That's crazy.
Wow. Could you imagine?
Wow. Or at least go talk to him first. Hey, Garth.
Yeah.
Hey, it's the FBI. You might have.
You're not going to have a conversation,
right?
I mean, listen. Listen, the amount of bodies that this guy, you just couldn't tie me to five missing people and unsolved homicide.
No. A lot of people tour all over the world, all over the country.
Yes.
Right.
But we've got look, and what's interesting about that is that in and of itself actually makes it more reasonable that he would choose that specific career path. He gets to move constantly. Matter of fact, the FBI did a survey. What wasn't a survey? It was a study one time about serial killers. Do you have any idea the amount of serial killers that are truck drivers or drivers in some way, or have some kind of a job where they roam? They're constantly roaming around.
Well, do you think they choose that profession because they know they're going to kill people, or is it because they have that profession and they have that in them, they have that opportunity, and that's what elevates the killing?
I think they choose that. I definitely think they choose it.
Well, look, I think who knows if you're going to break out. I mean, becoming a star is such a lottery ticket kind of profession. Like, how he couldn't have known he was going to blow up and become a country singer.
If he didn't, maybe he would have been a police officer. Maybe something else where, hey, I'm going to be a police officer. And then you get some of these, the police officers that they've had these police officers that have, sexually assaulted, 13, 17 women. And that same officer, they've asked him to be like, they wanted to make him a a homicide detective. No, he turned it down 3 times. Why did he turn it down 3 times? Or I don't know, there was a homicide, whatever. They kept trying to promote him, well, because it was an office job. Right. So now he's going to be in the office. No, I like patrol. I'll bet you do.
Yeah.
You know, it speaks to your proclivity.
Sure.
So,
okay.
And that happens a lot. You know, Dennis Rader, BTK killer. You know, he had a job where he was a code enforcement. And he drove around. That's all he did was drive the streets looking for code enforcement. People are complaining about their neighbor. Their fence is too high. He goes out there. And what happens is he eventually it gave him the ability to stalk his prey, know their routine, and then one day break in their house and tie them up and torture them and kill them. Yeah. I mean, this is what they do.
Yeah, it's a confluence of things, right?
Yes.
It's your proclivity to kill mixed with what you like to do as a profession or what you're interested in, and you become what you think about. You kind of manifest it, and it comes together because the killing gets more organized. As you'll see when you read the book, the killing gets more specific, more targeted, what FBI agents call more organized, meaning you actually have a system now. It's not like you see a guy on the side of the road and shoot him, because you don't have the means to move the body. Right. So it's an opportunistic crime.
Yeah, and it starts to become a pattern.
That's right.
You start to get more and more of the same types of crimes over and over and over again. He's doing the same thing over and over and over again.
That's right.
It's
I'm starting to get chills. So let's start from the beginning. He goes to Oklahoma State. He's born in 1962, 1980. He graduates and he starts his college at Oklahoma State. He's a bouncer at a bar when the first body close to him pops up.
Yeah, there's a co-ed, I believe her name was Tracy, and Tracy is going to the same university, lives close to where Garth lives, and also, we believe, goes to the college bar where he bounced. At some point, they come into contact. He stalks her, possibly, and eventually, what we do know for sure happened. I mean, a lot of this is speculative, but what we know happened is that on her birthday in 91, that her husband leaves, she stays home, she makes phone calls until about noon. Around noon, someone forces themselves into her apartment. Her husband, did I say boyfriend? Sorry. Her husband went to college. He's also at the university, stays there all day. Around 5 o'clock, he comes home and he finds Tracy lying dead and on the bed.
Stabbed to death. Yeah. But you could say, all right, well, that's a psychopath, a murderer. Happens on college campuses, especially with a lot of young women. Okay.
Right. Unsolved. Never solved.
But it's 1980. There was a lot of unsolved homicides before technology and forensics and all that stuff.
Right. At the same time, there's a homeless woman in the same general vicinity, same area, on campus, that basically lives in the woods on campus. She disappears, and she's found, I think, about 30, 45 minutes away in the woods where she's been murdered, or she has been stabbed to death, and she's found, once again, unsolved.
No sexual assault.
No sexual assault, and I believe Tracy was in January, and she was found in April or May. In April. But she was found in April. So only a few months later. Shortly after that, by the way, he meets his wife. Mm-hmm. Does that break the pattern? Is that and lots of people. Garth meets his wife, and they end up getting married. And it's very possible that kind of breaks that pattern, right? Yeah. And that's been seen many, many times in serial killers, where they're murdering, let's say, prostitutes.
Right.
And then they end up hooking up with a woman, they get married, she moves in, and it stops completely.
Yeah, wives kill all the fun, don't they? But that does happen with killing, is they go on hold. They take a break.
Yeah, same thing with Dennis Rader.
Yeah.
Same thing. He went like a decade between killings.
Right. So like the environment, however their environment changes, it will stall the killing, but it can't really hold it back.
No.
If they're true serial killers, they'll kill until the end. So they either get caught, they die, or et cetera.
So
he meets who becomes his wife.
I was gonna say real quick what typically happens if they don't die or become incarcerated, they sometimes age out of it, is what they say. They get so old that they're so old that they can no longer control a victim, and they're just too old to do it. So he said the successful ones that live to old age, they just age out of it. It's like just doesn't work for them anymore.
So Garth could just get away with it. He could just stop killing and live the rest of his life.
Yeah, he gets old, and that your hormones change, your testosterone drops, your estrogen increase, whatever happens.
Right.
He just something happens in his life, Like I said, the marriage thing stopped for a long time. That once they graduated college, though, they moved to Nashville,
right?
And suddenly there are people. He was working at the Boot Bandit. He worked at the Boot Bandit, getting people boots and trying on shoes. And how frustrating is that? So
he had started playing music while he was in college at Oklahoma State. Gets married after college, about 1982. 84, he moves to Nashville because that's where all the country music singers are trying to break out of.
Right.
So he's struggling.
You have to move to Nashville.
You got to move to Nashville. So it was like Hollywood for country singers. So he's there. He's trying to break in. He's playing gigs for free. He's working a shitty job. Are there any bodies between the time that he gets a record contract in 1989 and when he first gets there in 84? Are there any bodies?
There are three. I believe it's three women that are killed or go missing. That all work near the Boot Bandit and have to walk by there or possibly may have even gone into the Boot Bandit. But I mean, we don't know that, but we know that they all worked right around him. And this is all, we're not talking about years. We're talking about like maybe he's there, like he gets discovered very quickly. We're talking about like a year or so. He gets discovered. He's working the Boot Bandit for like a year. 3 people end up missing right around the Boot Bandit, and he gets discovered. They immediately put him on tour to start doing. They give him an album. The album does very well. Mm-hmm. And then of course, the first thing they do is they're not going to dump millions of dollars into your own tour. They put you on a fair tour with other budding artists. Right. And you and 4 other guys are sleeping on the bus. Yeah. And you're driving around the United States, going from one fairground to another fairground.
Yeah. It's like single A baseball. You're not in the big leagues yet. Yeah. But you're
no frills.
So there's a couple of bodies. And by the way, these are not gun murders yet. It sounds like Garth doesn't have himself a gun. So he's been stabbing people to death.
Yeah, I believe yes. Well, actually, I think the one woman, one out of the 3, I'm almost positive, just disappears.
Right.
She's just gone. The other ones I think are found near like the Cumberland River. The Cumberland River there's a lot of bodies that end up in the Cumberland.
Well, yeah, and these are also very remote places, like the backwoods of Tennessee, Tulsa, Oklahoma.
Well, I thought we were talking about Nashville right now. I thought you were talking about in Nashville.
Well, yeah, I know, but if you wanted to disappear a woman back in 1984 in Nashville,
it's not overly congested.
It's
not overly congested now.
Right.
So yes, he's on tour.
So he's on his fair tour.
On the fair tour. There's not a whole bunch that happens on the fair tour, but you have to also understand that he's on a bus with 3 or 4 other artists. There are people around him constantly during this tour. That goes on for about a year or so. He puts out another album. That one is huge. They immediately put him on a tour of the United States. But here's what I want to point out. He gets his first big check. They screw you on the first album. You don't get much. He's probably just thrilled to be on a bus playing and making money, doing what he loves, I guess. But he gets the check for $500,000. He doesn't buy a sports car. He doesn't buy a condo or a penthouse in downtown Nashville. He goes and buys for $436,000, almost the entire check. He buys 300 acres of raw land, so unimproved land, just 300 acres.
Well, it's good to buy land, though.
I
goes
agree,
up.
but this isn't somebody he's not a land speculator. He's not like, oh, we're going to develop, we're going to put in roads. You don't know, and you spent your whole check.
Right. Like raw land takes years. It's very expensive, and there's no return on it. That is, for an artist, that's pretty weird. That's a weird buy.
Yeah, it might be smart later on in life, but your first purchase. So he doesn't even have enough money probably to pay his taxes left over. So my point is that once that happens, and he's on tour, and he's in Nashville, missing persons and unsolved homicides spikes.
Yeah.
They spike.
Like dozens of disappearances.
Over the next few years, it's the amount of missing people in Nashville triples while he's in town. Mm-hmm. And it's very easy to see this happen over and over again. When he moves back to Oklahoma, same thing happens.
Right.
When he goes to, he ends up doing kind of like a one-man show in Las Vegas, which happens multiple times.
Yeah, he's got a residency in Vegas.
Residency.
Today's episode is sponsored by Cashapp. Cashapp is the only money transfer app that I use. It should be the only one that you use too. But did you know that Cashapp is more than just a safe way to send and receive money? With the Cashapp card, you get tons of perks without hidden fees. Think early access to concert pre-sales like Kendrick Lamar, Sabrina Carpenter, plus discounts on everyday purchases at brands you're probably already spending money on. It also keeps your money safe by automatically flagging suspicious transactions and letting you lock your card instantly if it's ever lost or stolen. Wow, that's wild. They've really expanded. I've been using Cashapp for years, the safest, the most secure way to send your money. You guys use Cashapp, you know Cashapp, you love Cashapp, but now they're expanding. They've got the Cashapp card. Go get it. No hidden fees, easy to get approved. Check it out. For a limited time, new Cashapp customers can earn $10 if they use the code CASHAPP10 in their profile at sign up and send $5 to a friend within 14 days. Once again, that's code CASHAPP, CASHAPP10 in their profile at sign up, and then just send $5 to a friend within 14 days. And terms do apply. Here are those terms. Cashapp is a financial services platform, not a bank. Banking services provided by Cashapp's bank partners. Prepaid debit cards issued by Sutton Bank, member FDIC. Discounts and promotions provided by Cashapp, A Block Inc. brand. Visit cashapp.com/legal/podcast for full disclosures. Today's episode is sponsored by a longtime partner of the show, Mando. Mando is the world's #1 whole body deodorant. You can put it on any part of your body that you want, any part that stinks. It's clinically proven to prevent odor for up to 72 hours. Again, it's safe for your pits, your package, your feet, everywhere in between. It stops odor before it starts. Choose from Mando in 3 different formats: the invisible spray, the solid stick, or the invisible cream. And of course, Mando is available in 4 cologne quality scents. That is very true. I can't tell you how many times I've just been wearing Mando out as a deodorant, and girls ask me if I'm wearing some kind of expensive European cologne. No, I'm just wearing Bourbon Leather, Mount Fuji, Pro Sport, or Cloverwoods. And again, Mando's a whole body deodorant. It's safe to use anywhere on your stinky ass body. Your pits, your packages, meaning your grundle and your balls, your belly button, that's where I put my deodorant, the butt crack, stinky crevices, stomach folds, the bottoms of your feet, the top of your head. Go crazy with it. Mando was created by a doctor who saw firsthand how normal BO was being misdiagnosed and mistreated. It's powerful enough for the toughest body odor, but gentle enough to use everywhere, allowing you to put Mando on family jewels without any worry, because Mando's aluminum-free, baking soda-free, cruelty-free, paraben-free, dye-free, and vegan. The holidays are coming up, and Mando is going to get you going with the perfect stocking stuffer. Get the Mando starter pack. It comes with a solid stick deodorant, a cream tube deodorant, 2 free products of your choice like mini body wash and deodorant wipes, plus free shipping. And as a special offer for my listeners only, new customers are going to get 20% off site-wide with our exclusive code. And that code is Mitchell. Use code Mitchell, MITCHELL, at shopmando.com for 20% off site-wide plus free shipping. Once again, that's SHOPMANDO.com With that promo code Mitchell, please support our show and tell them that we sent you. With deodorant plus sweat control, say goodbye to sweat stains and hello to long-lasting freshness. Yeah, so he keeps the piece of land outside of Nashville.
Yes.
This little Nashville suburb. He keeps that piece of raw land, which later on in life he builds an estate, a house on, which he lives to this day, I believe. That's where he's at.
Yes. I think it's Blue Ridge, Blue something. It's got a name.
Right. So
Blue Orchid Estates or something.
When he's on tour, this is what I find, I guess if I want to say the hardest to believe or the hardest to like imagine. I get when he's in town, right?
Right.
And he's got this piece of property where he can overtake unsuspecting people, whether it's young women, homeless people, people that are drunk. When he goes on tour, though, this is what is the most sinister to me, is how he's able to sneak away. And this is after the second album, when he's a star, when he's got his own
everybody knows him.
Multiple tour buses, everybody knows him.
That's when I heard about him. That's when WQYK in Tampa, Florida, and I was going to high school, they started WQYK country music by playing Garth Brooks nonstop for like 4 or 5 days, 24 hours a day.
God. Kill me, Garth.
And they just
I'd rather be killed by Garth Brooks than forced to listen to his music.
On a loop.
Yeah.
On a loop. But that's how big he was.
Yeah.
That's how you start your radio. This is back when radio was social media.
Yeah.
You know, this is when that was like the big thing. And that's how powerful he was. He was that popular. Nobody didn't recognize him.
I never listened to any country in my life.
And you still know who
I
he is.
know who Garth Brooks is. Right. So how was he able on these stops to get away? To get away from all of the roadies, the tour managers, his band.
Yeah.
How was he able to extricate himself for a couple of hours, go kill somebody, and then make it back for the show? Because he was never missed a show and he was never late.
Right. So this is what's funny. I actually spoke with a roadie. A roadie is one of the guys that basically breaks down and sets up the lighting, the stage. These are huge venues, right? So they bring their own stuff. They have multiple semis or 18-wheelers with all the sets and the lighting and the sound and all the equipment. They break it down, they put it on the semis, they move it to the next location, they pull it off, they set the whole thing up 2 or 3 days, ready to go for 3 or 4 concerts, and they break it down, do it again. Those guys are called roadies. So the hardest person for me to find to interview, it wasn't a couple of psychiatrists, which I interviewed, by the way, 2 psychiatrists. It wasn't a retired FBI agent that was willing to talk to me about serial killers. It was finding a roadie that had been on Garth Brooks's tours, and he'd only been on, out of like the 10 or 12 of them, I think he'd been on like 4. Mm-hmm. So, because one of the things that Garth does is he has everyone sign an NDA. So you don't get to talk about anything. And this guy's retired, dislikes Garth, and I was able through multiple phone calls to get to him, and he allowed me to interview him, provided I didn't use his real name. We used the name Richard. Mm-hmm. So I asked Richard the exact same thing you just asked me. And Richard, by the way, I also like to say this, is that Richard did not have a relationship with Garth. He said he's only spoken with him a few times. He said been around him many, many times. He's been only directly spoke with him and had a conversation very few times. He said Garth is not one of those guys that hangs out with the help.
Yeah.
And he said, because to him, that's what they are. Yeah. He said he might spend a little bit of time with the musicians. And one of the big things that Garth likes to do and likes to show everybody that he does is he goes in with all the musicians before they go on stage, and he has a big kind of a prayer session and a rah,
like a pep talk.
And like, we're all good, we're all together, and he says a prayer. And Richard said, and I was like, I thought he was kind of like it. He goes, no. Because that's for the cameras. Yeah. And that's for him and the musicians. He goes, that's not for the roadies. Yeah. He said he doesn't mix with us. And he said we're basically we're just labor. Mm-hmm. And Richard told me on many occasions Garth would simply borrow someone's car and leave. He would he would leave on his own. He would be gone for the entire day. He said he never missed a date because he recalls on a few different occasions where people were scrambling. This is before cell phones. They're scrambling looking for Garth. And he said Garth would show up just before the concert, walk on stage, start playing. He was great, never late. He said, but he said nobody's going to question this guy. And the bigger he got, the more people would not question him.
Of course. So he's like, hey, I need to borrow your car for the day.
Of course.
Sure, Mr. Garth. Right.
That's when we talk about when I asked him. We actually at one point, I'm just going to bring this up. It happens a little bit later, but I'll bring it up now. Is that at one point during one of his tours, not his first tour, I think it's the third, might be one of the world tours. Garth actually stops. And this is just to give you an example of how this would work. The semis, his tour, the tour buses, they stop at a rest stop, and there's a girl that is going to college. She's on her way back to college. She stops at a rest stop. Now, Richard said he doesn't know if they were at the rest stop, but she drives and she pulls over and stops at the rest stop. She gets something to eat at the convenience store. She goes back to her car. Witnesses tell the police that they specifically saw her speaking with a guy that was connected somehow. They said either the driver or somehow connected with a group of semis. They saw her talking with this person, and then she disappeared. Her vehicle remained there. The description that was given of the man that she was speaking to was 6 foot tall, in his early 30s, with dark brown hair. That fits Garth to a T from 40 feet away, 50 feet away in the middle of a parking lot. So what happens is her mother, the following day, she never gets a phone call from her daughter. She never showed up at the university. She calls I don't know if it was, I'm not sure which highway patrol. She calls them. They go there. They immediately find her vehicle. They find her vehicle. That's when they question the witnesses. They look for her. They can't find her. About a week later, her body is found on a separate interstate in another state that is on the route of Garth's tour at a third location. So he had to travel this road where he may have stopped at the rest stop, may have picked her up, plays a concert tour, goes to another concert tour, and then goes to the third concert. And during the course of going there on the interstate, the body is found, just discarded right off the side of the road.
So how could that have been possible? So even if of course he has his own tour bus, he keeps to himself. He's this very disconnected superstar, who nobody can talk to unless, at the appropriate hours, right? How could he have done that? Or is he putting her in a suitcase?
It's the whole Dahmer thing where he's a 6 foot tall guy. She's 110 pound, co-ed.
Right.
He just walks up, at the given time, she turns her head to walk back to her car. He sparks up a conversation. She turns her head. He clocks her. He drags her into the bus or semi or whatever. He puts her in a roadcaster trunk and throws her underneath the bus. He could have killed her right there.
It's the South. She knows who he is. Oh my God, it's Garth Brooks.
That's
at a rest stop. Hey, young lady, you want to come to my bus really quick?
Right.
Get a picture. I'll give you some memorabilia. Whatever it is.
I have no doubt. There's just no way nobody knows who Garth Brooks is, especially at this time. He was everywhere during this time. So,
and in that demographic. So she's probably a fan. Odds are she's a fan. So you bring her onto the tour bus, and his own bus, he kills her, puts her in a suitcase, puts that suitcase under the bus in those big carrying areas.
Right.
And then when he finds the opportunity on this route, he dumps her?
I mean, I'm not exactly sure what's happening. Does he pull her into the bus? Does he have his... At this point, he's got his own bus.
Yeah.
He has his own bus to himself. So it's just him, his bus. He has plenty. Did he throw her in a trunk right then, or did he drag her up in the bus, or did he invite her to come up in the bus? She walks in the bus. He chokes her out right there.
Well, that's what I'm saying. That makes more sense, because if it's broad daylight, the odds of being seen dragging a body onto a bus
she
are
may
high.
very willingly. I have no doubt that many of these victims could have willingly gone with Garth because of his fame. Gotten right in their vehicle. We even have a couple of them where someone pulled up to the victim, had a conversation in a black vehicle. The victim gets in the vehicle, drives off. They've never been seen again. That's it. It's over. So that's happened multiple times. Now, if you're a country music fan or really anybody, and he pulls up, who knows what he says? You're going to get right in the car. I'd get in the car. I would have gotten in the car with him. You know, if Tom Cruise pulled up and said, "Hey man, what's going on? How are you? Hey, I'm in the area. Where's this hotel? Can you show me? I'll give you $100. Sure, I'm gonna hop in with Tom.
Yeah, Tom, listen, I'll get in. I'm gonna suck your, but you will not kill me. Okay, are you gonna kill me? Okay, you got to tell me now.
But look, can I mention the Dahmer thing? The moving of these bodies is something that Dahmer used to do.
Right.
There's even a specific event where he had rented a hotel room, picked up a young gay boy, brought him up to his room, kills him that night, and realizes he's stuck in a hotel room with a body that's registered in his name. He then goes and buys a suitcase or a trunk. There's varying descriptions of what it was, but let's say a large suitcase, which it was either a large suitcase or a trunk, brings it up there, loads up this kid into the suitcase, brings it down, calls a taxi. The taxi driver helps load it up in the back of his trunk and drives it to his grandmother's house, where he dismembers the body and throws it out in the woods behind his grandmother's house.
So obviously, Garth Brooks didn't have time to do that. That's why they found a lot of the bodies that were connected to his tour bus and when he was really on the road like that.
Right.
So after a couple of days, you've got this girl in a trunk, the body's going to start to smell. Yeah. That's why he's got to get rid of it.
You got about 2 days unless you throw some bags of ice in there.
Right.
According to the FBI agent, he said within 24 hours to 48 hours, the body starts to decompose. It starts to smell. He said, but if you throw a couple of bags of ice in there, you can get a few more days out of it.
Yeah. So was there a connection you saw? Because later on, further into the 90s, he gets the residency in Vegas and he gets his own plane.
Yes.
This is how he's able, the hypothesis is he's able to disappear and kill people in Vegas, load them up on his plane, take them to his property, which has now been built out, the 300 acres outside Nashville, and bury them under the house or on the property. But before he had that ability, when he was still taking buses everywhere, did you see some correlation? Were less people getting disappeared during that time? Like, can you prove that? Can you prove that? Like, how is he supposed to disappear people when he's on a bus for 6 months out of the year?
Well, it's not unheard of to have things shipped somewhere. Or jump on your plane, throw it in your plane, fly back.
But before he had the plane, I'm saying.
Oh, before the plane, he could. I have no doubt that he's able to coordinate getting these. Either one, he's dumping the bodies, right?
But how? How do you get to a place where the body's not going to be found when you're on a tour?
Well, some of them, I mean, keep in mind some of these are unsolved homicides, so they did find the body.
Right. I'm trying to show that there's a link between an increase in disappearances when he has the ability to fly bodies,
right,
as opposed to when he's on a tour bus and you don't have that much time and you don't have the ability to go long distances into the woods or to bury a body. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Is there that kind of correlation?
I didn't really find anything other than the fact that once he got the plane, things seemed to spike as far as disappearances.
Okay, so that's kind of what I'm asking.
Right. So prior to the plane, bodies are there are more unsolved homicides connected to him.
Right.
After the plane, people are just disappearing.
Right.
And there's one case so I don't know if you know this, but there was actually a time when Garth went to the University of Oklahoma, or Oklahoma State University, Oklahoma State University, he was actually through javelin. He's very
good
athletic,
athlete.
very
Right.
athletic, but he's not a pro. But once he became a big shot and he's got hundreds of millions of dollars, he can now go to I want to say who's in San Diego?
The Padres. Yeah. He tried to play professional baseball.
Yeah, multiple times, not once. And here's what's funny is like the other baseball players on the team, like they didn't think it was cool.
No,
You know, I've got quotes of I have multiple. I put a couple of them in the books where there are quotes of players saying, like he's taking someone's spot.
Yeah, no, this isn't funny.
Who has a chance.
Right.
And the way Garth would do it is he goes and he says, look, let me try out and I'll donate this much money to this charity for you guys, or I'll donate this much to your charity or whatever it is. He's basically bribing them to let him try out because in his mind, he's thinking he's going to become a real player. And he talks about how he knows that people are out there mocking him, but I'm here to play and I'm this and I'm that. But he's not good. So, I mean, I'm sure he would beat me, but he's
but whatever. He's like too old by that time anyways. It doesn't matter. Like he's not going to make it.
Right. But this isn't once. This is
Right.
3 different attempts.
That's right. And so he gets a spot, I think, at least to make it to spring training for the Padres in Phoenix.
Yeah.
And there's more bodies
I'm glad you
around
mentioned that. Here's the reason. There are more bodies there, but I mean, we're not going to get into all the different bodies. But in these particular, because I could go every time when he went to the Grammys, when he went to the Billboard Awards, I could. There's 2 bodies, 1 body. When he went to the Residency tour, we could say there's 12 bodies. We could do that over and over again. But this one is interesting. There's actually an older gentleman. I want to say he was in his 60s. He's going to leave the area. He's leaving the area. He's traveling to see a friend. And he goes to a gas station, which they know he went to, I believe, because of there was a receipt. He fills up gas, and that gas station is fairly close to the Springs training stadium. At that point, he disappears. He never makes it to his friends. So one of his other buddies ends up calling the police and saying, "Hey, he's missing. He never showed up. He was going to call me when he got there. Didn't call. Okay." They look into it. They can't find him. He's gone. And they just say, he disappeared. He fueled up here, and we can't find him. We can't find his vehicle. We can't find anything. Now this is within blocks of the stadium of where Garth is. Now, here's what makes it interesting. Once again, okay, coincidence.
Yeah, it's Phoenix. There's a lot of crime there.
Sure, maybe it was carjacking, maybe.
Right.
Here's the thing, that Garth flew his private jet into the international airport, and 2 months later, this guy's 2 months or roughly a few weeks later, his
victim's car is found in the parking garage.
Correct. The victim's vehicle is found in the parking garage. His body is in the trunk. It's within a stone's throw of Garth Brooks's private plane, which is parked there.
Yeah.
So I just find that
right.
Unlikely.
There are no coincidences.
There's not this many. If you start adding it up, it's outrageous.
Yeah, that's crazy. Now, clearly, I mean, that is a crime of opportunity. We're not yet. This is when he's still on the road.
Right.
And that's why they're finding the bodies. He doesn't a lot of times have time to ship them back and bury them properly on his property.
Right. Who knows why that body didn't end up in the plane? We don't know that.
Right. But he's got to be getting his DNA. He's got to be shedding. These are, if he's taking a man, even if the man is 60 years old, he's getting hair follicles on him. He's getting skin cells on him.
When has Garth Brooks' DNA ever been taken?
That's what I mean.
Are they? First of all, there's so many people that are just never found. There's never found. There's no DNA.
Right.
if there is DNA or Garth feels there's DNA, or I'm certain he would not leave it behind. So I give you an example. One time there's kind of like, it's like a carjacking, right? Like there's this couple, and I have it it's in the book.
Yeah.
They're at, I don't know if I think they're at a restaurant. They may be at a restaurant, and someone comes to them and basically carjacks them, right? He's got a weapon. He gets in the back of the vehicle, forces this young couple to drive. They start driving. The female is driving the car. The male is in the front. They're driving, being brought somewhere. At some point, there's a dispute, and the carjacker fires the male, shoots him in the head. He's dead. At this point, the female panics. She hits the brakes, pulls the vehicle over, jumps out, and runs. Carjacker jumps out, chases after her, fires at her. I believe he hits her twice in the neck. She hits the ground. She's dead. Now, he chases her a while. He's a distance. There's guns are being fired. Cars are driving by. He runs all the way back to the vehicle and sets it on fire, and then runs off into the woods.
Right. And this is, I believe, Oklahoma. I think this is close to his Oklahoma property.
Right. This was close to his house, to his residence.
Yeah.
This is after he had moved back to Oklahoma, after he divorces his first wife.
Right.
Which, listen, that was one of the largest payouts in history. One day, they just decide we're getting a divorce. Now, he had been caught cheating prior to that. And they had multiple times where they'd come out in the press and said they're giving their marriage another try. They're going to counseling. They're doing this. They're doing that. But one day they just call it quits completely. And she gets, at the time, a massive $125 million payout.
Yeah, she got half.
Yeah.
That's what happens. The first wife, when before they're stars, that's like buying a penny stock. It's like buying Bitcoin at 50 cents, and then you cash out at 100,000. Like, you just, good for you.
But
bitch, you saw a stock. You saw a winner. So I don't. That's, to me, that doesn't implicate the wives in any of this.
I don't think it implicates it. It makes me think it was a very quick divorce. Here's half, no fighting, very amicable.
Yeah.
To me, it's like, what does she have on him? What does she know? What kind of things does she know?
So back to the car getting lit on fire. So clearly what that tells us is that this person knew that his DNA was all over the car. Yeah. And he wanted to burn that away. Right. He wanted to burn that up. Right. So this points to perhaps Garth having a real sense of cleaning up the crime scene, even if you had to carry a body, lift a body, drag a body, try to clean up your DNA as much as you could. Yes. He doesn't want to get caught. Yeah. No, serial killers don't want to get caught. No. That's it's part of the thrill. If they're unorganized, they tend to get caught because they're not organized. But over the course of this, I believe it was Jim DiOrio, or I believe it was Jim, the FBI agent. Sorry, he talks about how it appears that Garth, or whoever's tied to all these, whatever, assume that he becomes an organized killer. It starts off kind of disorganized, and it becomes more and more organized because towards about halfway through the whole thing, once he's got the properties, once he's got the planes, once these kind of, I hate to say carjackings, but once he starts abducting people, he starts abducting them in their vehicles. Yeah. And then he'll move the vehicles, and the vehicles, they may be taken 5 miles from his residence and moved half a mile close to his residence. And then the body's stuck in the trunk, or murdered, stuck in the trunk, or murdered, stuck in the back of the vehicle, or just you find the vehicle, you don't find the body at all. Right. Maybe at that point he figures, maybe he dropped it off at the house, parks the vehicle, and then is able to make it back to the house, or able to move it in such a way that he's able to get back to his vehicle. But somehow or another, these vehicles aren't being moved 50 miles away or 40 miles away. They're being moved just so that you don't quite know where is the actual crime? Where did it actually occur? Right. Or maybe it's also being moved to, I need to move it to a place where there's not so many eyeballs. Right. In the woods. A lot of these places, they're
they're off of the interstate. They're in the woods. They're in.
So when he's got his residency in Vegas, a lot of disappearances start happening, as we mentioned, because the theory is he's putting them in suitcases, putting them on his private jet, and then because he wouldn't live in Vegas. He would do his shows, and then he would jump on his plane and go back to either Oklahoma or Nashville, whichever property he was living at the time.
He had multiple.
So
at one point he moves to Oklahoma.
How would he get the bodies? Say he was carjacking people, or Vegas is busy. There's a lot of surveillance. Even back in the 90s, there was a lot of surveillance in Vegas, especially in casinos. How is he getting the bodies from the streets, whether it's homeless people or people that he's taking from their vehicles? How's he getting them from there into suitcases onto the plane?
Well, I think that like we said earlier, it's not difficult to move a small person in a suitcase. And if he's going to a plane, every time you go to the airport, everybody's dragging around a suitcase on wheels.
But does he drive their car to the private airport?
He probably has his own vehicle.
So he drives, but how does he get to his vehicle from the scene of the crime and the car that he has?
He's grabbing. So he pulls his vehicle. He pulls his vehicle up. He then abducts them, either leaves their vehicle or takes their vehicle. He just moves it not far away. It might be a mile, half a mile, whatever. He can jog back.
Gets his car.
Gets his vehicle, goes there, transports them into his vehicle or into a suitcase and into his vehicle, drives to the airport, private facility. He pulls his vehicle right up to the plane. Pull out a large suitcase and load it up into the back of the vehicle and leave it there for 2 days until he decides to fly back I'm going to fly back for the weekend and see my new wife, Trisha. Trisha Yearwood. The new wife's Trisha Yearwood. So he flies back there and, who knows? He may have a whole – listen, they built this – eventually he builds this massive piece of property – massive home on the 300 acres that he's got.
Outside of Nashville.
Right, which – and I don't know, did you ever see I read the books because I was incarcerated at the time, but I also saw the movie. I feel like you saw the movie. Would have seen the movie.
With the werewolves?
Girl with the dragon tattoo.
Twilight?
No. Girl with the dragon tattoo.
I actually didn't see it, but I know about it.
Did you see the movie?
No, I heard it's great.
Really good.
Okay,
it was
I'll
really
watch
good.
It. Yeah.
It should be 10 hours long, but they did what they could in 2 hours. So, but one of the great parts is when you realize who the killer is. The guy, he's basically the bottom part of his house, which is built on a hill, which you don't even know exists, is this dungeon. Really? It's all stainless steel and nice. Like you walk into an area and a door closes and you're in this little area and he turns a knob and boom, you're knocked out. Right. You wake up, you're in a gag suit and you're tied up and they're hanging and they've got a neck brace on and or he puts you in a dog kennel. He's got you. There was a book and there was also a movie. I read the book, but in this it's I want to say it's Kiss the Girl or something. It was I
remember that movie.
Yeah, they made it into a movie where he has all these women in dog cages,
right?
In like a dungeon. He's got all these, and he's got like 8 or 9 filthy rich women that he's kidnapped, and he's feeding them with like automated dog feeders, and that's how they're staying alive there. And he's got them all trapped down there. I mean, just who knows what this guy's got underneath his house?
Right. So
he's so wealthy, he can have anything.
Yeah, totally. I mean, I still buy the theory more that they're already dead by the time he gets them there. Now, and you point out in the book very, very well that the serial killers have a habit of staying with their bodies. It's part of the sickness is like they like being with the bodies as long as possible. It's control.
Right.
So I kind of like that theory more, but certainly he could have lured people to the property. I just think what that does, though, is it opens – one of the reasons he's been able to get away with this for so long, allegedly, is because nobody else knows. There's no other co-conspirators. If he was luring people to the property and killing them there – it would get out.
Right.
Like, I'm going to Garth Brooks at his house.
Of course.
You know what I mean? And then your body never comes back.
Yeah.
That's too risky to me. I think the bodies are dead by the time he gets them to his property.
Okay. I mean, I can see that.
Especially from out of state,
I never know. Chloroform. Chloroform can knock you out for hours, days.
That's a good point,
you never know,
dude.
A gag. You put a gag ball and you knock them out. They wake up. They got a gag ball. They're tied up. I mean, who knows what's going on? Throw them in the trunk or throw them in the storage unit in the plane. By the time they land, you drag. Even if they're kicking and screaming, you get to wake them up. And what are they going to do? They're done. They're all gagged and tied. And
definitely, that is a big possibility for people that he's kidnapping locally. Now, when he starts to, what's so fascinating about your book is when Garth kind of settles down, he gets a little older, he stops being on the road so much, like in the late 90s, early 2000s, he kind of announces that he's retiring. Now he starts to really stay at his properties and be a family man. That's when you see the local disappearances. That's when you could really look at the heat map of all of these dead and disappeared people around his 2 properties really, really go up, because now he's got a system. He knows his environment. He knows the escape routes. He knows, where the cameras are and aren't.
Are you talking about when he moves after he divorces his Sandy, his first wife, and he moves to back to Oklahoma?
Yes, and the kids are out of the house. They've graduated from college.
Right. Well, when the kids
are gone to college.
No, wait. So it spikes when he moves to Oklahoma.
That's what I mean.
Okay. Yeah. But then the kids graduate high school. He has an agreement with Trish that they are going to stay there in Oklahoma to raise the girls until they graduate high school, and then they'll move back to Nashville. And guess what they do? They build the house on the 300 acres, and they move back to Nashville, and guess what spikes again? Missing persons.
Right. Did they go down during when he was raising his kids?
I don't. I know it spiked when he moved there. I do not recall. I don't recall us going back and checking to see if it dropped, but we know that it spiked whenever he moved somewhere within 6 months, and it would spike again. And we would have, we've got the
when he's off the road. My point is when he's at his 2 properties, and he's just kind of staying put. That's when you see a more organized killing, is because when you're familiar with your surroundings,
you're how you're comfortable.
Exactly, you know how you can get away with it better.
Jim, the retired FBI agent Diorio, actually, there's a name for it too. It's Geographic something, I forget. He gave me the name. It's in the book, where it specifically talks about how they feel they almost have like a hunting ground. It's like they're right around there where they are living, and it's it's a hunting ground in that general area. They feel extremely comfortable because they're 10 minutes away, 15 minutes. They know the area. Right. They feel comfortable in the area. Right. It's easy to say why you're there.
Right.
Exactly. And you feel comfortable. You see everything every day. You're comfortable with what you know.
And so he goes back. Yes. Now he moves back to Nashville, outside of Nashville, to the big property after his kids are out of the house. He gets remarried.
Right. To Trisha Yearwood.
And that's when really the disappearances are now. Even you pointed this out to these FBI agents who, after you showed them all of this evidence, they go, "Oh yeah, this is definitely a pattern that's consistent with serial killing."
Yeah, it becomes more and more specific where he's targeting people in vehicles. Yeah. And obviously he's got control over them. He's a big guy. If they're women, he doesn't need a handgun, but he can't. But many of the people, things go wrong and people get shot. Yeah. So he's not going to approach another 6 foot tall man and try and manhandle him. Right. He's got a handgun. He's getting this guy to do what he wants. They're moving the vehicles. Right. Some of these guys end up in their vehicles deceased. Some the vehicle is found somewhere else. They never find the guy. Right. I was going to say there's here's what that sort of thing doesn't happen so much when he's in Vegas as much as it's happening more and more when he moves back.
What was happening in Vegas?
He was moving. Some of the people are being moved, but a lot of them there's more homicides,
shooting deaths,
right, and less when he's not close to home. The more unsolved murders are happening.
I see.
Or not. The more missing people are happening around his properties than when he's.
That makes sense.
Okay.
Right.
So the other thing that happens, which is interesting. And this, listen, we could go on and on. He's also getting all these awards. Like we're talking about, he's traveling here. 2 people are deceased. He's, he goes to be on Howard Stern. Some guy in a parking lot 2 blocks away from Howard Stern ends up deceased
At the same time? Like the same date?
While he's there. That day. That same day he's there, somebody ends up getting shot and they find his body or something along those lines. I forget if it was a shot or something.
Yeah, that's Los Angeles, New York. That's back in the early 2000s where there's still a lot of homicides in those places. So I don't know. I think it's interesting. I think there's not enough to even make that circumstantial, in my opinion. But maybe, though, I don't know.
Well, here's the thing: is that what people don't realize is that people watch CSI, right? Mm-hmm. They think every homicide out there is scientifically proven, but 95% of homicide cases or court cases that you end up going to court, it's circumstantial. It's he was here. This was this person walked here. Oh, do you have fingerprints? No, we don't have fingerprints. Do you have gunshot residue? No, I don't have gunshot residue. But this guy was here. This guy walked into the room with this girl, and 30 minutes later, he walked out, and then this guy walked in the room, and she was laying there dead. It's did you find blood on him? No, we didn't find blood on him because we found him 3 days later, and we grabbed him with the clothes he had on, and we searched his apartment, and whatever clothes he was wearing are gone. But you tell me, is it circumstantial? I walked into a room with a girl that was alive, walked out, now she's dead. Another guy walked in and said, "Oh my gosh, she's laying there dead." And called is it circumstantial? There's no scientific evidence. Right. That's how most of these crimes are committed. Now, granted, it's prosecuted. Sorry, more and more science is being utilized now because now it's phone data. Yeah, it's you said you were at your job, but your phone says you were here. Right. You said you were here, but your phone said here. I can see the text. Oh, we had a great relationship. What are you talking about? The text messages show that you were in an argument 20 minutes beforehand. You're threatening to kill her. You see what I'm saying? Yeah. So that's more happening now, but back then that wasn't happening. Keep in mind, text wasn't invented until around 2005? Is it 2005, 2006? A little earlier than that, but the texting en masse, where texting overtook phone calls, that was like the mid-2000s. Right. That was like the mid-aughts. How did the killing change? Speaking of technology, right? Now we're moving into, you'd think, after smartphones were invented, there's no getting away with murder. That thing can track where you were to a T, right? But the killings continued. Yeah. Oh, well, listen, Garth has an issue right now. Yeah. He's being sued by a woman who is alleging that he raped her. Right. The hairdresser. Yeah, the hairdresser. Multiple times. She says she's got text messages. She's saying that, and I even saw something. I didn't look it up. I couldn't find anything, but I saw some. And I hate to even say that I saw this like on TikTok and stuff. But it's basically where people were saying that he and Trish were separated as a result. Like these allegations came out, and within a month or so, they're separated. I don't know if that's true or not. And that didn't make the book because I couldn't confirm or deny it. But there were people there was the gossip out there, whatever. Right. So yeah, there was a hairdresser that used to be Trisha Yearwood's hairdresser, started being Garth Brooks' hairdresser, and at some point, and I want to say, is it 2018, 19? She says that Garth started getting fixated on her, sent her a bunch of text messages, asked her if she would basically be in a menage a trois with he and Trish. She said she wasn't interested. She continued to be his hairdresser, and at some point, she says that he, in a hotel room, they got the same hotel room. They both showed up. She wanted her own hotel room. Something happened in the hotel room. He ends up hitting her. That's what she says. He, of course, says this is untrue, and it's now being fought in civil court. But she says there's tons of text messages between the two of them. Yeah, his image has certainly taken a huge hit since that happened, and then the YMH kind of started this murder conspiracy. But how did the pattern of the killings and the disappearances change, especially geographically, in the modern era with cameras everywhere and with smartphones?
How did the bodies around Garth, how did that evolve?
Well, I don't know that they've changed, other than he's now staying more local to Nashville, and that the bulk of the unsolved homicides and missing persons that we've found have been in Nashville and around Nashville, Goodlettsville. Keep in mind, he doesn't have any contact with these people, and they're not looking into him. So the authorities aren't going to look into him. First of all, local authorities are not, even homicide detectives are not, they're really not trained to look into serial killings, right? Like they're looking for, it was alcohol related, it was over money, it was an angry boyfriend, a husband, a dispute, a gang matter.
Right.
They're not thinking Garth Brooks, one of our most famous residences.
Right.
Residents. One of our most famous residents is a serial killer. We should look into Garth. And he has no contact with these people. He has no communication. It's not like they were texting him 20 minutes beforehand.
Yeah.
He doesn't know these people.
Right.
So those types of techniques don't work for something like this.
Right. 99% of murders happen when the victim knows the assailant, right? Or 95%.
Right. And that's why serial killers, obviously, they get away with it forever.
Right.
Long distance truckers will kill 8 guys, 12 guys, 15, and then they leave the bodies scattered all over the place, and then they get picked up for, getting into a bar fight, and they get their DNA taken, and they go, "Oh my God, we got your DNA on 8 different bodies."
Wow.
But they would have gotten away with it forever, pretty much. They're killing people at traffic stops and leaving them on the side of the highway 2 states away. It never links up. Why? Well, what about the cell towers? And what are you talking about? There's no cell tower. These 2 people don't know each other.
Right.
There's no back and forth communications. Yeah, Jimmy, I'm going to meet you tomorrow at 2.
Right.
And then he'd never seen again. That's not what's happening.
Yeah.
And the local cops aren't going to even approach Garth about something like this. Even if something like this brought attention to him and they took it seriously and looked at it and said, statistically, it's almost impossible for there not to be something here. They're not going to look into it. They're not going to contact him. He's not going to talk to him.
Well, could you take this book and give it to the FBI? Could the FBI take the case on?
Could they? I mean, I guess they could. I think they're trying to lock up political enemies of Trump right now.
Yeah, they're locking up political enemies and basketball players for gambling.
Yeah, they're bigger fish to fry. I think what's interesting is that recently, the most recent ones, because there's a whole slew of them, right? Like Garth's going to different. He's not touring right now, right? He'll do a every other weekend in Vegas. He flies in for a couple of days and flies back out. But mostly he's located and residing in Nashville. What I think is interesting is that I want to say it was mid to late 2024. There was a kid that showed up missing. I forget his last name. Straight? No.
Doesn't matter.
First
doesn't matter. Nobody cares.
Okay. Anyway, it's a famous case, right?
Okay.
Because this kid. So what happens with this kid is he goes into Garth's bar. And he has a few drinks. He leaves Garth's bar and he goes into I forget the other, Luke Bryant's bar. He goes into, I believe it's Luke Bryant's bar. And this is in downtown Nashville. He's a college student with a bunch of friends who have gone to Nashville. And he goes into Luke Bryant's bar. By the time he gets to Luke Bryant's bar, he's starting to feel weird. Something happened. He has a couple of glasses of water. He has a beer, but he's acting erratic. He's acting really drunk. They ask him to leave. So he leaves. He's never seen again. He just leaves. He's never seen again. And his body, alive, I should say. His body is found in the Cumberland River half a mile to a mile away from Garth's bar and Luke Bryan's. They're all right there on the strip. So his pants have been stripped off. His boots are stripped off. He's halfway naked. And his credit cards are found strewn up and down the river.
So clearly he's been undressed.
Right. Now, there's a lot of people out.
Yeah.
There's cameras. They have cameras of him stumbling around. He actually texts his mom and says that he had a drink that tasted funny. He feels weird. He's going back to the hotel. Tells his buddies he's going back to the hotel. But there's a camera that shows him walk right by the street where he should have turned for the hotel. He ends up going to the Cumberland Bridge. They believe now the police say they believe he fell off the Cumberland Bridge and drowned. Now nobody else believes that because his pants were stripped off and his boots were stripped off, and it's just the current's not that strong, and it's actually very weak current because he has only carried quarter of a mile down before he washes up on the shore.
Right.
And so they find him.
Could he have stripped himself?
I mean, I guess that's possible. What I think is interesting, the police say, look, they have no evidence. We have no evidence. He drowned. That's what they say. Although I believe the autopsy said that there was no water in his lungs or something. I forget. So regardless, what I find interesting is that he went into Garth's bar. So a lot of the amateur sleuths on the internet and his family are all saying that they believe he drank something in the bar. Maybe, was it GHB?
GHB is a thing. Is that something you would get drugged with?
Well, isn't that the date rape drug?
No, GHB is like a workout drug. You're talking about like roofies or Mickeys or something like that.
Roofies? Okay,
no, GHB is a thing that bodybuilders take.
Oh, okay, I don't know. Anyway, so roofie. So it's like, did he get drugged? Yeah, did he get drugged? And then someone picked him up and grabbed him, and then later they threw him off the bridge. Once they choked him out or done whatever they did. I don't know. But the fact that he went into Garth's bar seems interesting to me. And then he ends up missing. Once again, was Garth there? Garth is known to go to the bar, right? Like these guys have to kind of go and hang out at the bars because you go to Luke Bryan's bar because you want to see him.
You want to see him, right?
So that's one thing. That was in 2024. 6 months later, 2025. You've got a guy that was homeless that was known to live in the general vicinity on the street of Garth's bar. Garth's bar, by the way, it's friends in low places. Mm-hmm. So once again, he lives in the general vicinity. One night he disappears. He ends up washing up. They believe he also went over the Cumberland Bridge, and he washes up on shore roughly half a mile. If you're going to throw a body in the Cumberland Bridge, it washes up pretty quickly. So he gets found, same thing. General area, half a mile, known to be right around that area. Is it coincidence? Maybe it's coincidence. I think you throw it all together. We're talking about two people, unsolved homicides, within who knows?
Out of Garth's bar, the bar that he owns.
Maybe. It's odd. It's odd. I'm just saying it's odd.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, look, there's certainly the possibility that he could be watching the cameras and have a system, a bottle that's filled with Rufinol that's given out, and whoever drinks it becomes the victim. I don't know. It's a stretch, but certainly the serial killer will have to get more creative, knowing that it's easier to get caught by technology. So, I need to up my game, right?
Yeah.
But it's fascinating how many people, just over and over every year, just bodies that are piling up, disappearances. It's crazy. It's crazy, dude.
He's a monster.
I think he's a monster, bro.
He's a monster.
Clearly we know that he's got that Ellen factor, right? Where he's a complete megalomaniac at work.
Yes.
He fires people at a whim.
Yeah.
You can't talk to him. Don't approach him. He's got no personality. He's got no ability to just have a normal conversation. He'll never go on a podcast. Any sound bites or TV that he's done, it's all like semi-scripted.
Right.
People are like, who the is this guy? The Chris Gaines thing.
Oh,
his
we
alter
talk
ego.
About the Chris Gaines thing, bro. The Chris Gaines thing. Listen, even Joe Rogan talked about the Chris Gaines thing and said it may very well be the most bizarre, bizarre thing that's ever happened in country history. Country music. Sorry,
for sure.
So Garth, for viewers that don't know, this is so insane. We're talking about he is the largest country music star out there ever. He is selling hundreds of millions of albums.
Yeah.
And one day he decides, and this is very much dissociative disorder, right?
Right.
What they call split personality disorder.
Right.
So one day he decides that he wants to start making music and albums as a, what is it, like a pop? Is it?
He's like a sex addicted. He's got a sex addiction.
Yeah, he wants to. Well, first of all, he wants to do is rock music, right? He wants to play some kind of rock music, like dark, kind of Nirvana.
Yeah,
dark,
and he gave himself a backstory, like a really disturbed backstory. He's
Australian.
He's Australian. He gave himself a sex addiction, which is crazy. It's weird. It's a weird addiction to give yourself.
His parents were like Olympic. I mean, his parents are Australian Olympic athletes.
Yeah.
He's raised in Australia. He comes to the United States as a rock star. He's a sex addict, and he becomes this massively huge rocker. He has a car accident and he's scarred. Now, keep in mind, this is all Garth Brooks. What he does is he dyes his hair black. He gets a different haircut.
Yeah.
He loses a bunch of weight, supposedly. I think a lot of that was done with.
He gets a soul patch, right?
Gets a black soul patch. He has an Australian accent. He's making music videos.
Yeah.
He's putting out music videos
as Chris Gaines.
He's doing he does entire interviews with reporters as Chris Gaines.
Mm-hmm.
Now, can you imagine you walk in and you know it's Garth Brooks.
Yeah.
And he pretends to be, he deadpans it the whole way like it's really true.
Right.
And he's trying to convince this person. He does the whole interview, and they're just like, this is bizarre.
Right. Remember Joaquin Phoenix when he pretended he made a whole documentary around him? He was going to quit acting and he was going to become a rapper. I'm Still Here, it's called. And it's one of the most brilliant pieces of comedy. He's deadpan. He's going on national television. He's telling his agents in Hollywood, he's like, no, like, I want to be a rapper. But we know he's kidding. At the end, he's like, yeah, I've been with you guys.
Garth is never kidding.
He's never kidding.
He
this
never
whole time.
And here's the thing. There was like, I forget which award show it was, but it was a major award show is when it all comes out for the first time. He comes out as Chris Gaines, and you clearly know it's Garth Brooks.
Yeah.
And he does a whole song set, and I mean, the audience is like, what's happening?
Yeah.
What is happening?
Right.
And these are all country music, artists.
Right.
And so.
And he's made up, it's not like the Joaquin Phoenix is not the perfect analogy because he's still Joaquin Phoenix. He's just, I'm going to be a rapper now. Take me seriously as a rapper. This is a completely fabricated person. It's an alter ego.
Yeah, no, this isn't Taylor Swift deciding that she wants to sing or switch from country to pop rock or whatever she.
Right.
This is he doesn't break.
Yeah.
It's not. This is Taylor Swift gaining 60 pounds.
Yeah.
And deciding goes goth.
Right.
And decides she's going to start singing.
My name's Avril Lavigne.
Right.
Now, and I have it's a completely, and I think a lot of people, I'll be honest, I have that in my head. I have an alter ego where I'm a big drug kingpin from Ireland, and I moved to San Francisco as a boy, and I was like an orphan, and I grew up in the Tenderloin, and I rose from like abject poverty to become like a super powerful drug kingpin. And I'm murdering people and shit like that. But I would never go.
Peaky Blinders.
There is some Peaky Blinders in there mixed with like whatever. It's a mix with a whole.
Legends. What was the other one? Legends that were what's his name plays two twins. They were real guys. It's a true story.
Oh, I didn't see it. Look, it's a mixture of everything that I've consumed and lived on a very, very reduced scale throughout the years. But I would never. But I'm able to come back from reality. I'm able to come back from that
Can I tell you something?
I would. Yeah, go ahead. Now that we're being honest here.
So I shared with my wife only that in my head, while I was incarcerated, I had an ongoing separate life where I was basically like a starship captain from like the genre, the starship, like, but
You
my
like Star
starship,
Trek?
yeah, Star Trek, definitely Star Trek. But it wasn't like the Enterprise. It was more like the Defiant. I don't know if you know anything about Star Trek, but it was a smaller, it was only a small crew, but it was this went out, and she's like, "What are you talking about?" I explained it to her. I said, "This went on for." We're not talking about a week. We're talking about years.
Yeah.
There are entire seasons of,
and you keep building it and
Of course.
kind of tweaking in your head. It's like
of
you're
course,
writing a script.
Some people are dying.
Right.
Some people are new characters. Some people, and I mean, and she's like,
You're taller.
"Are you?" She's like, "Are you serious?" I'm like, "Yeah." And I said, "You understand?" I said, and she's like, "And you just daydreamed?" I said, "Well, I limited it because I wrote most of the time, but I limited it to if you're standing in line waiting for your laundry and it's 15, 20 minutes and there's 4 idiots in front of you and 2 idiots behind you and you have to sit there for 30 minutes or 45 or you're waiting to go to whatever. You're waiting for 45 minutes to get your food.
It's escapism.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And here's the thing. I watched a documentary about this, by the way. So I had always kind of done that in little bits and pieces, nowhere near to the extent. Nowhere near to the extent I did when I was incarcerated, because of course there's so much downtime.
Right.
I had heard, and I remember seeing this, it made me feel good. There was a guy who was a farmer who one day something happened. I don't know if he got hit in the head, whatever it was. He's in his like 60s or 70s. Something happened where he woke up and it was the same kind of a thing, kind of like he thought he was, I don't know what it was. He was like a starship, let's say the same thing, starship captain, something like that. He was from outer space or something. And he wakes up and he's like, "Who are you?" to his wife. They've got like 4 kids.
Wow.
So yeah, he got to a point where there was some kind of deterioration of his brain. I don't know if he got hit. I don't know what happened. And the only thing he could remember was this alternate life. And of course, the doctors come in and they're like, no, here's what's going on. And it was a very clear syndrome that he had where they explained, she's like, "What are you talking about? He's got memories from forever. He's got a whole family. He's got a whole," and she's like, he's crazy. And they're like, no, you don't understand. He would be on the tractor for hours at a time, driving up and down the farm. He had, hundreds of acres of farm. He spends hours and hours by himself. You said he didn't have a radio. You don't even get radio out here. You said he basically would sit there and just go back and forth, and he just sat there. He didn't have anything. This is what he was doing the entire time. He's living this fantasy, and the only thing once he got hit that remained was the fantasy, and I believe he died like that.
Wow.
They put him in a home, the whole thing.
Dude, that is, but like when you could go down the rabbit hole talking about that, like quantum physics, right? Like there's multi-universes all around us.
Maybe it really is happening.
So, right. That's what I mean.
You're plugged in.
Exactly. So you're living this alternate life, but also like it could just be like your deepest desires that probably just aren't going to come true in this life that you're living. Like I used to have like many fantasies as a kid about playing in the NBA. Like that's all I wanted to do was play professional sports. So it was hockey, and I played for, I think it was the Vancouver Canucks, and I was this like professional hockey player, and I had like a house. I remember the kind of house I lived in, the kind of girlfriend I had, and then when it was the dream switched to basketball, so it's like I've constantly like changed fantasies depending on what life I'm living in, but I seem to be still trapped in that narco fantasy, and I'm really trying to get out of it. But this podcast doesn't help.
I've always daydreamed about wanting to be able to get stuff off the top shelf.
Can you imagine?
Without having to get the little. I have a little 3-foot little stool that I bring. We have a little stool. We have them all over the house.
I got a better chance of being a drug kingpin, buddy, than you do reaching the top shelf. But so. The point is, this is ingrained in most people. It's psychologists can break it down into the alter ego. Maybe somebody can comment about what that is. But with Garth Brooks, this is with a narcissist and somebody that has Machiavellian tendencies. and obviously psychopathy. It's epitomized in this. It's disassociative to where you're really, they say you're really out of it. Like you're gone. It's not like I can talk about Johnny Mitchell, the narco kingpin from San Francisco. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like I'm describing it to you. Clearly I'm here. I think when he's Chris Gaines, when he's living as Chris Gaines, he's gone. It's like how when Daniel Day-Lewis gets into character on the set of his movies, the grip, the best boy comes up to him and is like, hey man, you need a water or something? And he's still in character, you know, like that's what Chris Gaines was.
I forget who, there was some actor where there's a whole thing where they're walking in talking to him and he's, what'd you say to me?
Yeah,
he does.
exactly.
They're like, oh, don't talk.
Joaquin Phoenix is like that. There's a few like hardcore method actors. So essentially that's what he was doing, was method acting, but he really believed he was this guy, Chris Gaines.
What was it? Shia LaBeouf pulled his tooth out for Fury. He pulled the tooth out and didn't shower for like 3 or 4 weeks. So they finally took him aside and they were like, listen, you've got to take a shower. Yeah. Like everybody's disgusted.
You're Shia.
Yeah.
You're Shia.
Yeah.
Cameras are off. You're Shia LaBeouf.
Yanked his tooth out.
Crazy.
Not because anybody asked him, just because he said, I felt like the character would be missing a tooth.
Right. This is what we would be doing. This is what he would be doing. He'd be missing a tooth. But this is even this is even crazier. Chris Gaines is even crazier than that.
Well, it's delusional on a lot of different.
It's delusional.
Different levels, because remember at one point he starts working with a producer. They start a company called like a Red Slash Productions or something, and she's trying to get him movie deals.
Yeah, he's trying to get the movies now.
Right.
Yeah.
And first, one of the things they do is they go to a couple of different places. One of them, I want to say, whatever, Sony, Universal, whatever. One of these production company studios they go to, and they say they were willing to put up $40 million. I want to say it was Fox, but they wanted to keep the song, the rights. And they could share in it, but they wanted to keep it. And Garth said no. And she'd been pitching this to everybody.
Yeah.
He wanted to do a movie as Chris Gaines about the Chris Gaines life story called The Lamb. And keep in mind, he's already had a documentary done by VH1 Behind the Music or something, where they do Chris Gaines's backstory and a massive interview with him and a bunch of actors to play people in his. It's bizarre. Yeah. And he does the whole thing. He does the whole thing as Chris Gaines. 45 minutes. Then they're trying to get a movie made, The Lamb, and Garth. They're willing to put in $40 million. You've already written some music. You're never going to get any money out of this music unless you get the movie made. Nobody's buying your albums. They're willing to put in the money and make the movie that you want. And he says, absolutely not. I own all the movie or all the music rights 100%. Yeah. So she can never get that made. Like we said earlier, she tries to get him into multiple movies where he's just delusional. He thinks he's going to be the lead.
Like, no, I got to be the lead.
You've never been a lead. You've never been a secondary actor.
Yeah.
And you want Sony to dump $60 million into a film.
Yeah.
Where
I think I stormed the beach. Not Tom Hanks. What has he done?
Right. Matt Damon?
Yeah.
I could be Matt Damon.
Yeah.
I should be Matt Damon.
Yeah. So this all is funny, but it all paints a picture of who this guy is. A nut.
Yeah. And then, by the way, remember the producer? She says he screwed her out of
bunch of money,
$350,000.
Right. And he lied. He's able to lie. She describes a meeting they take where he's pitching these executives, and he somehow starts talking about his father, his dead father, and
because Chris Gaines's father dies in the film.
Right.
And Garth starts talking about when his father died, how traumatic it was, and he tears up and starts crying in the boardroom with Fox.
That's right. And his father's still alive.
Yeah. She said when they walk out, she says to him, your father's still alive and lives in like, you know, Oklahoma. And he's like, yeah, I know, but it made the pitch much better, don't you think?
Yeah. So
you're insane.
It's an insane, the ability, again, that's the dark triad, narcissism, Machiavellianism, and psychopathy. Just the ability to be a chameleon, to lie at a whim, to woo people, charm people, but it's all to your end.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah,
it's all to your end, to benefit for you.
And you know what's so funny is that I understand that. You know how many times I won't get into too much, but I have a buddy who has a friend that I have a disagreement with. And I was like, listen, I don't have a problem with the guy. I said, I mean, you guys are buddies. I want us all to be friends. I said, why don't we all go to lunch and I'll talk to him? And he's like, well, okay, what are you going to say? I went, no, I'll tell him I was wrong and I apologize. And even though he knows I don't believe I'm wrong, I was absolutely right. You're a nut. Something's wrong with you. But I said, I'll tell him that, and I'll tell him this, and I'll tell him that, and this and that. And I said, and trust me, by the time it's done, I'll do that. I said, no problem. He was like, really? And I said, yeah, bro. I said, I'll fall on my sword. I said, I have no problem with that. And he goes, oh, I just didn't see that in you. I said, oh, bro. I said, I'll do anything I have to do to get my way. If in the end that's going to make this work, then that's what I'll do.
Right. You're a good liar.
Yeah. I said, I don't need this guy to like me or care about me, or his opinion of me means nothing.
Yeah.
This person's not in my life. They never will be. Right. If they're running around talking shit, I don't care what he says.
Yeah. Yeah.
Most people will not do that. Most people will not do that. They will not admit that they're wrong if they do not think they are wrong.
Right.
Of course I'm wrong. I absolutely am wrong.
Right.
I shouldn't have said that. It was wrong. I'm sorry. I was going through a bad time, and I was just
because you're trying to get something out of that relationship.
Right. I need something out of the relationship.
Right. Oh, I have the ability to do that. Yeah.
But a lot of people don't. A lot of people just will not lie to. In my mind, it's like, yeah, but ultimately I get what I want. That's my goal. Right. This is my goal. What I have to do to get there doesn't matter.
Yeah, my pride of winning an argument doesn't matter to this person that I don't know.
Do you know how many times I've gone up to my wife and hugged her and told her I love her and I'm sorry? And she's like, it's okay, it's okay. I don't even know what I did. I know she was upset about something. I did something.
Yeah.
I did something.
You should always been apologizing. Even if you're going to do something. Yeah. Even if you didn't do nothing, you're going to do something.
I'm so sorry.
Yeah.
It's okay.
No, you should tell little white lies to your spouse often. I mean it. But yeah, so we kind of fall in the middle. Like we might be a little narcissistic, a little Machiavellian, certainly.
Yeah, I'm not chopping anybody up.
Everybody knows our past. It's the psychopathy is what completes a serial killer, right? Yeah. Being a psychopath. And that's what leads you to murder.
I guess I just had a better childhood.
I don't think you did, though. I mean, maybe you did. Huh? I don't know. I mean, what's interesting is that we don't know much about his childhood. But, regardless, he's got the personality. He's got the opportunity. He's got the motivation. He's got the ability. He fits the profile of it. And that's in this book. What you do a good job of is like backing up what seem like outlandish claims with like FBI approval.
Yeah.
So are you worried? What do you want out of this? Did you just write it? Like, I want to break it. I want him to get arrested, dude. I want a case getting put on him. That's my goal with this. That's why I had you on. I'm blown away by this book and by this. You can call it a conspiracy theory, but it's how cases get made. They start as conspiracy theories, do they not? It's a couple of detectives in a room saying, okay, if I were going to do that, yes, I would.
Oh, it seems like almost all guesswork. And then some of the guesswork leads to somebody and some of the guesswork exonerates somebody, right? Like they're like, oh, no, he can't. We found out. We got a receipt and we can see him on film. Okay, damn, I really thought he did it. What about this guy? They just start going after everybody that they think had means and motive until they find somebody that's, that guy's got no alibi. He was in the vicinity. He this, he that. That's our guy.
Are you aware of any of these cases? Because now a lot of these are dead cold cases. Have any of these been reopened?
No, I don't
None
think
of them.
I don't think
hundreds.
No.
God, How many missing people are out there that they're just not looking for the
like
killers?
3,500. I think there's like 3,500 at any given time, or 4,000, 3,500 to 4,000 missing persons at any given time. There's a website. It's a Name Me. It's called Name Me, like .gov or something, and it's got a list of all the missing persons, and then you can get the case numbers, and then you can request the Freedom of Information Act. It's for the states. It's the Freedom of Public Records Act, and then you can get them to send you documents which kind of lay out the whole. Gives you a lot more information than you're going to get on just the website. Some states will send it to you, and I would get it, and some states wouldn't send it to us. Some states would say, what do you want this for? If it's an unsolved homicide, it's like, hey, what do you do? We're not going to give you this. It's an open case. Or
how long is somebody missing before they are considered?
I mean, you would have to. A family member would have to go, or I guess the state could go in front of a judge and get a judge to declare them deceased if they were to go missing. I don't think it's an automatic. Hey, it's been 7 years. They typically you have to wait like 7 years. You can get it done earlier though. Like you can get it done in a couple of years if you can kind of prove, like through some reason, this person's got to be deceased. There's no cell phone activity. They haven't claimed Social Security. They haven't. You name off everything, and Your Honor, they're. Law enforcement believes that they're possibly. You can try and get a judge to do it earlier, but around 7 years, you still have to go to the court and say, "Hey,
right." So it's
been 8 years.
There's only 4,000 of those people out there.
At any, I think that's the number at any given time. I believe. I could be wrong.
So those are like the people that are. It sounds like they're more recent, like more recent active cases. Because I mean, imagine. Since the beginning of record keeping, there's got to be like.
I think I have the number.
There's got to be like tens of thousands, I would think.
I was gonna say, I think I actually have the number somewhere.
Okay.
But there were about 250,000 active missing persons. Wow.
250,000. Yeah.
Wow, I was way off.
I knew 4,000 sounded a little light.
Okay, I don't know where I got 4,000. Sorry. Yeah, 250. In 2023, there were 250,000 missing persons cases.
Wow. So Garth contributed to, 1% of that.
Yeah, his fresh horses tour alone cost us 2,500 people. Or sorry, 25 people. No.
No, I mean the body. It's hundreds and hundreds of bodies.
What?
I mean, this would if Garth Brooks.
Even the missing persons?
Yes.
No, I don't know about hundreds. It's 100.
I'm talking about combined with the murders.
Yeah, it's a couple hundred. Hundred, combination of a couple hundred.
If it's true, he's one of the most prolific serial killers in American history.
Absolutely.
Bundy ain't shit. Dahmer ain't shit. John Wayne Gacy ain't shit.
I think when I looked up all of them, there was one guy that they believed he had killed, but he confessed to 27, and I think they believed he had killed over 100. But it wasn't 200.
One of the most fascinating things you said is they can just age out of it.
Yeah. Yeah. Your body, you break down, body breaks down, it's not like, I guess, whatever
it's so distressing because you just get away with it.
Every guy over 45 is on TRT.
Yeah. Yeah. So unless he confesses on his deathbed.
Nope. Or somebody stumbles across something that connects him.
Right. Or he gets arrested, drunk driving. Well, here, the rape. How was he wasn't arrested?
No, it's because it's not criminal. It's just her word against his. And so far, it's just civil.
Right.
Right.
That makes sense. Okay. Yeah.
So it could go criminal. I don't know.
But she waited.
She was trying to get a money settlement out of him.
Right.
And like, I'll keep this quiet.
Right. It's like the Cassie Diddy thing.
Yes.
When he beat her up. And
she may have gone and tried to file a criminal complaint. And if it was a criminal complaint against me, I'd be in handcuffs and in jail. But I'm not Garth Brooks. He can mount a defense that even the state of Tennessee is going to have a problem with. And it's right now it's her word against his, and apparently, according to her, a whole bunch of texts, which really just show that that he's interested in her and making advances. Doesn't say anything about
and she probably waited. Those are notoriously hard to convict, especially when it's something that the victim has waited to come forward with.
So continue to work with that person.
Right, she did.
Yeah.
So that's not something that you're gonna just go arrest him and then fingerprint him for.
Yeah. Yeah, she's got some problems. She got some issues in the future.
For sure.
Yeah. Like I said, unless something happens, unless he gets pulled over and they say, Garth, we hear kicking coming from the trunk.
Okay, what's the...
Or Trisha walks in and he's... got somebody strapped to the bed. He's like, I thought you were coming home tomorrow.
What is the most damning piece of circumstantial evidence from the book that still blew you away? That was like, this is the thing that ties it together as much as it has.
Nothing ties it together.
No, I know. I don't know. It ties it together circumstantially.
Right.
Like, is it just the proximity? It's the coincidence. Right. It's the massive coincidence.
And the massive coincidence, I find the victim Tracy at the rest stop. The fact that has to we know he travels along. He has to travel along that interstate. To get to his rest stop or his next. To get to his next destination, and we know she was there, and then we know that he goes to another location. She disappears. Right. He goes to another location, and then he's traveling across the state, another state, to his next tour stop.
Right.
And the body is found.
Yeah, and that's the only eyewitness. There was not one other eyewitness, I guess, except for the shooting. Well, there's a few in Phoenix. Remember, there's that's like a drive-by shooting where a black car pulls up to these guys that are listening to country music.
Oh yeah, and someone fires at them.
That's right, and unloads. Were there any other eyewitnesses?
No, because no. I mean, we're talking about vehicles. I mean, he's opportunistic, right? Like it's not like he's grabbing people out of the stands, he's
talented.
Yeah, he's waiting and he's waiting for the right opportunity. Maybe he goes jogging, he sees a guy, he realizes nobody's around, he talks to the guy, he realizes, No,
he's very good. Like, he doesn't approach groups. It's always somebody usually that's a person hiking near his residence in Tennessee.
Oh yeah.
Person hiking goes missing. No, this guy was really good.
And look, there are so many of them where we would look at it and say, wow, this is amazing. But then as we looked into it, maybe we would get the police report and we'd find some little discrepancy. We'd be like, oh yeah, no, that can't be him.
That can't be him.
And we discard them left and right. We discarded as many as we could. We weren't, cherry picking, and then we were getting rid of anything that we could, because there are missing people, so I don't want to say that we didn't want to say, hey, this is definitely one of them. When once we looked at it, it's like, no, wait, there's 3 witnesses, but one of them said this, and this is clearly not Garth.
Right.
Or wait, we found out that once we got the document, the time when it actually occurred, we realized he would be on stage at that time.
Right.
Where what showed up on, let's say, Nemus, the website, had a different time or wasn't specific on the time.
Right.
And we thought, oh my gosh, this is perfect. But then we got the actual document and you're like, oh, wait a minute. No, he would have been on the stage.
Right. Or he's in a different town actually. So you discard that. How long did it take you to sift through all of these different disappeared?
A lot. Especially when I'm trying to figure out, because the towns are all there. He's at, the ATM Stadium here.
Right.
And, I don't really, and it's in this town. Well, okay, that town butts right up to this town. And you're like, is it close? I don't know. And then we have to go to that. You got to go to the map and you say, how close is, or ask ChatGPT, this town at this address from this town and this address. It says, it's, 14 miles. And you're like, oh, whoa. Or it's 3 miles. And you're like, really? That's a whole different county there. It's like, yeah.
Right.
Okay. Then of course you go to the map and you get the map out and you look at it and you're like, oh wow, it's right over the line.
Right.
Like, and I can tell you right now, I could only imagine how many I missed because there wasn't an article that showed up. There was nothing that told us. Maybe there wasn't, so the missing persons was one thing, but the unsolved homicides, that's very difficult to find. There's no unsolved homicide website. You have to go to each state, and not all states even have one.
Right.
You have to go to then you have to go to the counties. Like, I can't tell you how many counties you have to go to try and find unsolved homicides at a certain time. And then let's say you end up with one or two here, one or two there, and then you order the documents, you get the documents in, and nope, none of them. Yeah. None of them actually fit. It was close, looked good, but somebody said something. It was he was driving this type of a vehicle, or he was a known gangbanger in the area. Now they're looking for him. Like, okay, so it's unsolved because they haven't found the guy. Right.
Were you worried at all in the writing of this, like the amount of time and labor and just brain damage that you did to just come up with all this information? Were you worried that halfway through you were going to be like, oh damn, like this it wasn't him. He's not a serial killer. He's not. It's just way too much of a stretch. Were you worried about like disproving your own preconditioned beliefs?
Well, I would have been okay with that. I mean, there's probably confirmation bias involved, but it didn't, because it is also circumstantial. I wasn't that worried. And if it happened, that's fine. Listen, I can't tell you how many half-done projects I have. This would just be another one in the pile.
Right.
There's so many half-done. I have at least 4 half-written articles, true crime articles, right now on my computer. At least 4 of them. Yeah. They're just half-done. I lost interest. This took months and months. Well, the research was months, and it's not very long. Like you said, half the book is just the research to let people know where I got the information, what the numbers are, what the case numbers are, where it was, what the police said, the whole thing.
No, it's brilliant. It's a brilliant, very, very impressive, very well researched expose, I would call it. But you know what? You know what the most damning piece of logic is that points to this being true is that all of these bodies surrounding him, and none of them have been solved with DNA, with forensics, with technology. As you said at the beginning of the episode, it's statistically improbable that it would be anybody else.
Right.
So if you believe in math, which is a science, right? Which is the universal truth, math, I think we got it. He should be in shackles.
We got to wrap this up.
This is going to be a TikTok movement, bro. This is going to be a TikTok movement.
I want it to be a movement.
Wow.
How much fun would this be?
This would be incredible. I think
what would be incredible is to get on Segura.
Well, that's why I wanted you to come in and kill it, and you did, because we're going to show this to his people, and maybe you come on and But it's important that we walk through logically why, like we're DAs explaining to a jury why this is true, or why we believe this is very reasonable, why we have reasonable, probable cause to at least get this guy's DNA, to at least do a preliminary, have a chat with him, and then get a search warrant.
I absolutely agree. Absolutely.
It'd be so funny if he didn't do it. It'd be so funny if we ruined this man's life. He never did it.
Stop. He didn't.
This guy's so sketchy, bro. He's so sketchy. Okay. Well, I think that about does it, man. Very well done, dude.
All right.
Plug the book. Where plug the name and where they can get it.
Hey, this is Bodies in Low Places, a serious examination into the allegation, is Garth Brooks a serial killer? You can find it on Amazon and any place else that probably Barnes & Nobles and a bunch of other places. And there's also an Audible version.
Is that actually in physical brick and mortar Barnes & Noble stores?
No.
Oh, okay. Oh, no, you just self-published it.
I thought about taking a bunch of them, sticking them on the shelves, and then leaning up and just getting my photo taken, and then going in front of Barnes & Nobles with the sign behind me and holding. You
know what we should do? Let's send an episode to. Let's send a copy to Garth's people in Hollywood. We can. That's an easy IMDb Pro search.
Listen. You know what I really wanted to do? What I really want to do, when I made that the thing, I told my wife, I said, we're going to Nashville. We're going to walk in, stick it on the bar.
At his bar.
Yeah, his bar. Lean up against it. You're going to get a video, get some photos. And when the bar, she's like, what did they say? Something. I go, the bartender says, hey, what are you guys doing? I say, hey, I don't know. Jimmy told me to drop this off. I don't know if Garth is selling books or something. I don't know. They're going for $19.95. Talk to Jimmy and just walk off. I go, what's he going to do? Call the police?
Right.
Grab me?
Right.
He doesn't know. It's a book. It's got Garth's picture on the front.
Right.
He's going to think, oh, okay. But what is this? What's he going to do? I said, we walk out, we leave him. I said, Garth's getting a phone call. I guarantee that.
Yeah, oh, for sure.
He's going to be like, I don't know, there's 10 fucking books here, Garth. He'll take a picture. Garth, what is this? He's going to be like, oh, this motherfucker. I'm suing this guy.
But then when he does that, that's where you really take it to the press. Like when you get sued, that's what brings the more heat on him.
Yeah.
That's how you reignite this whole
thing. He's
thing.
never going to do that.
I know.
He's never going to do that. If he was going to sue anybody, you'd sue Segura. Segura's loaded.
And it's viral.
Right.
Like all this shit's gone viral 10 times over and still nothing.
Yeah.
It's the same thing with RFK Jr. He wrote that whole book on Dr. Fauci and just the corruption, the immense corruption of the health industry.
Yeah.
And Fauci can't say anything because it's all the sources are accounted for in the back of the book.
If you do sue, then great. If we end up in court, then we're going to pull out all your emails, your text messages. We're going to have people you turn it into a circus, and then it's just more and more publicity. Right. This guy's terrified. He's like, I can't do this.
No, and then we bring it down to the DA of whatever county that Nashville is in. This is how these things start. I'm all for it. Just don't accept a drink when you go to his bar. Matt Cox, Bodies in Low Places. Get it. Go out and get it. I'm telling you, one of the best, most entertaining, shocking reads.
It's a lot of fun.
It's a lot of fun, though. It's just amazing. Make it a movement. Tell your friends. These people need justice.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Listen, that's what I'm doing this for, the families.
You're doing this for the families. You're doing this for justice.
Here's what I don't know what you're doing with your life. I'm saving lives. What would Jesus do? I mean, you got your podcast. That's nice. Yeah. This is what I do. Yeah. This is what I do. You are a man on a mission. I've said this before. You are a selfless man. You do things you follow the Christian way. It's about people helping people. You've never deviated from that. Absolutely. Through your whole life, you have absolutely followed the Christian way. He's got to be stopped. That's what I'm saying. He does, for sure. Yeah. Do you think he'll kill again? I mean, look, when is the last time, and then I swear we'll end on this, I'm going to put aside the two guys that went into his bar and then got killed. When was the last time somebody went missing or was murdered, very obviously outright murdered, in Garth's vicinity? I would have to look it up, but I will be shocked. But it was in the last 5 years. Oh, absolutely. Yeah. Yes. Last 5 years. Listen, I'll be shocked if Trish makes it out alive. That's what I'm saying. Let's keep an eye on that. Yeah. Wow. Yeah. Wow. Matt Cox, go get his book. So good to hang out with you, man. All right. Take care. Thank you. See you.